Hey crafty people, welcome back to my channel, and in case you're new here, I'm Sarah, also known as Craft Nerd because I'm a nerd who loves to craft. I do paper crafting, card making, junk journaling, and mixed media art. Let's get crafting! Oh, welcome to my channel. Today we are going to work on finally finishing this journal, and I am going to have to do a bit of repair work because something happened. I don't know what caused the paint to come off here, but yeah, I'm gonna have to fix that. But let's proceed with finishing the bits and bobs for in this journal so I can put this journal in the done pile. Alright, so this is one of the whack and stack and whack tags I did, and I'm thinking we're gonna do something similar to the piece that's in the front because I've got another little boy that faces in the other direction. I just need to cut him out. Okay, so I finished cutting that out. Let's move this off to the side and we can finish working on this. Let's grab a piece of book page. Do something over here. Let's do that because that's already a good edge there. He's gonna go like that. Want that showing. Let's tear that away. Label down there. This is a printable by my Porch Prints, and these are just bits and bobs I have stamped. And this is a digital by Fabi Art Studios. Let me grab a piece of paper and my brush that has Uncharted Mariner on it, and we're just gonna get some color on this. We're gonna just glue him on. I'm actually going to add a little color to this piece as well. Let's ink the edges. Just made it a little grungier by crumpling it up and adding some ink to the crumples. I'm going to add a little vintage photo too. Forgot to ink the edges on that, but it's too late now, so we're going to live with that. But I am going to ink the edges on that. I'm going to use Uncharted Mariner. I think I like that, although maybe a little bit of fiber stapled at the top. Let me grab that real quick. All right, I'm going to use a little bit of this. Put that along. that on there, and I'm going to grab my tiny attacher. There we go. I like that. Let's put that in. All right. Next, let's see. We've got this big pocket. So I cut a piece of, this is one of the pages left over from one of the 49 and Market paper pads that I have been using for, what was the other project? The suitcase journal folio thingy project I did recently. Let's do tag tops at the top. And we're gonna go pretty steep on this one because it's so big. And this is just an old gift card that I cut all the corners off of to create a template for cutting tag corners on my projects. I find it easier than, you can just snip off a corner if you don't have something like that, flip it over and do it that way. I find it easier to hold this in place than the teeny tiny corners I snip off. And I pulled some stuff out for this. I believe this is my Porch Prints, and this is another one of the Fabi Art Studios. I'm leaning towards doing the insane thing of cutting out between those. I think I kind of want to do that. All right, for that, I'm gonna grab my Fiskar finger tip blade and just as I'm doing that, I'm realizing one other thing I want to do before I do that is come in with my antique linen and add that so that the spots I don't fully cut out aren't glaringly white. And then this way I won't have to worry about it being too delicate and tearing it when I brush on the antique linen later. Now it doesn't show up very much on screen at this stage, but it does make a big difference when you put the piece in place. You know what, let's go ahead and ink the edges on this thing and glue it down. That all the way down because I want something to go here. All right, I've pulled out Tim Holtz and Stampers Anonymous Tiny Text CMS 394, and I'm going to use The Journey is the Destination. Let's shift that off to the side. Here, and I've grabbed a piece of a strip that I've cut off of a piece of book page. I'm going to use Versifying Clair in Twilight. Uh-oh. I want it to go underneath, but that's gonna cover up the word altogether. So I think it's gonna have to go there, and I'm gonna have to put something on top. I'm actually kind of liking that, and I think we're just gonna let's snip it so that it's flush along the bottom. We'll snip that off too. We're gonna ink this. With Uncharted Mariner. Ooh, I gotta remember that the Uncharted Mariner comes on really harshly and to start off the page. And yeah, the back is very busy. What I'm gonna do is put a piece of coffee dyed paper on the back off camera. All right, so let's put that away. Oh, you know what? I did want to ink the edges first because there's some white spots on this side. Go. Right, next up is a piece for this pocket, and yeah, this also needs to be covered, and I actually apparently pulled out some scrap of coffee dyed paper. May go ahead and put that on. Okay, I'm going to use this piece, which I haven't cut out. Now, a couple quick tips for fussy cutting while I'm doing it is if you hold your scissors up like this, you can't see where you're cutting. If you angle them out, you can. And you should turn your paper, not your scissors. Gonna go there. I've got a bit of this stuff. Let's grab over there. Rub that down. I'm gonna rip the very white bit at the top off. So these are the type of pieces I save to stamp on later. And these are a bunch of strips from the same paper pack that were left over. And so we're just gonna do kind of like a strippy cluster. Put that as the base, and I'm definitely gonna ink that. Yeah, I think I like that. Still, every time, the first time I touch the Uncharted Mariner brushed paper, I get a big globby bit, like a big, like, dark spot. this piece on. And I'm going to round the corners. That is going to go in here, like so. And then we're moving on to this guy, which will go into this pocket. I saw these little frames and actually need to finish trimming this out. And this little guy definitely needs some antique linen because I'm not cutting out between those whiskers. Maybe I'll do a little bit more trimming there. Let's use this. I'm not sure I like that. I think we're going to get rid of those because I am not liking how they are looking. I think with the whiskers, it'd help if that's better. I was thinking what I was going to do is this, and I'm trying to decide if I want to put acetate underneath, like a piece of clear plastic, like packing material. Oh, I can get my words out. Really, I can. All right, let's put some glue. Now, since we're gluing some clear plastic to this, we don't want to get too close to the edge because we don't want the glue splooging out onto our plastic. That. Lay that piece down and then trim off any excess. And I tend to push away from my opening when I'm pressing it down to decrease any chance of glue seeping onto the front. Glue him down. And I'm putting my glue more towards the edge than the opening. And I'm just noticing a spot where I did not trim off all of the excess. We need a label or two down here. Not liking any of the numbers I have already stamped, so we're going to stamp one. Let's grab that leftover bit from the last thing we stamped. is a Tracie Fox LoveJunkJournals label. So it's not long enough, but I think I do want to put a strip of that across the bottom because the bottom's just looking a little too plain. You know, I'm thinking now I want the other piece for the top, and I should have put glue underneath that because this is not super sticky. Let's see. Let's just add a little bit of glue now that we pulled it up. I'm going to put this piece on the top. Washi is not intended to be permanent, so if you're putting it on something where you want it to be permanent, you really should use glue. I like how that guy came out. Pull this over, stick him in the pocket. Let's go on to our next. This guy, which I pulled this tag out to go into this vellum pocket, or yeah, tag sort of thing. It's made out of packaging paper, which it's going to need to get backed as well. Let's go ahead and do that real quick. Element that I think I'm just going to add that and then some fibers and leave this one fairly simple. I'm going to use a little bit of this, which has some orange fibers stuck in it from the full deck challenge I did earlier this week. Let's do that much. Double it over, and I didn't mean to do that. I just tossed it in my garbage bucket. I also have some twine sitting up here. Let's grab that. Go like so, and trim it like that, and then I'm gonna grab a bead easy. That. Let's see. I think we can fix it. I should not have been tugging quite so hard, but I think I can glue that back into place. Okay, we're gonna try doing that. Just trying to get this piece to tighten, which it does not want to tighten. All right, let's try gluing this in place. What I may also do is grab some, is that Tim Holtz tape. Just stick that down there. There we go. All right, next we've got this, which is going to go under that paper clip. And I already grabbed some stuff out for decorating. I think on this side, we're just going to add her, and we're just going to trim that little bit off. quick inking with antique linen. And on this side, I'm trying to just remember what I was planning. I think I was planning this guy here, and then that there. Oh, I'm trying to remember which side. I think probably that side. It's an envelope, but this is what I picked out and how I'm decorating it, so we're going with it. And because it ends up going up under like so anyway, so that it'll fit. So there we go. That one's done. Now, this needs a little decorating, and these two guys need decorating, but I'm keeping them very simple. So let's take those out. Let's do this across the bottom. All right. And again, these are just like leftover strips that I have on my desk. These days I'll like actually hold something straight while cutting it so that I cut it off straight, but you know, today, not that day. All right, we've got two little tags that go in the pockets, and again, I'm keeping them simple, and I'm just gonna ink the edges and glue them on. And this is the last little bit that we need to do, and it's tags in for going in this guy, and I've already planned these suckers out, so this is just going to be a matter of attaching everything on, and I pulled out a bunch of the Holtz Tiny People. So let's ink edges. And this is Rachel Bella Crafts. These are Ilopa, and this Tracie Fox LoveJunkJournals. All right, let me figure. this one, I want to add a little bit more interest. So I've got a 49 and Market washi. It's really wide. And we're just gonna open the container first. All right. We are going to, I think it's the advertisements. I've had it for a while, so I don't know if it's still available out there or not. And the only problem I have with the 49 Market washi, the wide ones, you gotta be really careful pulling it up because it is very prone to ripping. All right, I've got it started. I am gonna actually use glue sticks, something I hardly ever use, but for this, it's a good way to go. So that glue stick does not look happy. Let's use this one. And I'm just gonna put something down to glue on. And this is because washi is not meant to be permanent, although this stuff's pretty darn sticky, so it might hold without adding extra glue, but don't want to take that chance. Let's do that, because I am going to add whatchamacallit. Ooh, coffee dyed paper to this. I am just gonna wrap some of the messiness around. I will cover that later with some coffee dyed paper. Oh look, I got a piece stuck up underneath there. Let's just burnish that down. And yeah, this is not as see-through as I was hoping it would be, because I figured more of the blue would show through than is showing through, but oh well, too late now. Try something and see what happens, and fingers crossed it doesn't completely mess this whole thing up. All right, that brings a little bit of the blue back in. Let's glue everything on now. With it that high up. I think it should be more like that. So I just need to get something out for there. Okay, I like that better. One more piece. Yay! right, let's put these in. I think I'm gonna have to put a tab on him. Okay, now if you watched the previous video where I was working on this, you know there are several more things that needed doing, and I actually went ahead and did them off camera. So let's just go through and I'll show you what I did, since I pretty much just did stuff similar to what I've done in today's video. So just did some journaling cards and tags to fill up the pockets. This envelope similar to the other one we did on camera, and I did notice that there were two things that were not decorated. I'm just going to do those off camera, and I'm also going to repair this bit, and yeah, she's a chunky monkey. So yeah, I'm going to do that off camera, and then I'll do another short video doing a flip through of this, because yeah, I'm gonna count her as pretty much done. I'm gonna do the couple little things, fix this, and oh look, more of that's coming off. Why is that coming off? All right, so I'm gonna do that, but for today's video I think we're gonna call it done. And this project half finish is almost completely finished. So that's all for today. If you enjoyed this video, please do all the things that lets YouTube know you enjoyed the video. Like, subscribe, hit the notification bell, leave me a comment down below. Thanks for joining me, and happy crafting.